Okay, so hello everybody, and today we're going to be talking about what is going on with our potential outbreak that could be occurring tomorrow. So just a reminder, it is going to be tomorrow on Sunday. So there is a potential for this, and this reminds us of what happened last week on Easter. And so our big thing that we're going to be talking about is what could potentially be happening and what we're going to be looking at with this. This is a severe weather briefing, and we're going to go over pretty much everything that could potentially affect this storm system and kind of show you where it's going to be at. So as you can see, our main moderate zone is right here, and we have an enhanced all the way stretched out across this, and then a slight pretty much across the rest of the states down there and into the kind of middle eastern part of Texas. And so that's going to be our key factor there, is what's happening down here in Texas and then traveling that way during the day. And so as we see, we're going to have a kind of an east-northeast track, and that's all going to be kind of brought about by some moisture that will group from down here and kind of over here, but also it will allow because of a dry line that will form here across Texas. So that's our categorical, and we're going to scroll down and check out our discussion here. We're going to highlight a few important words during this so you can see what we're talking about. So this is our day 2, so this definitely is Sunday. So there is an enhanced risk of severe thunderstorms from the Sabine River eastward into South Carolina. It says that there is severe thunderstorms are likely across severe storms are likely Sunday from East Texas to South Carolina. The greatest threat appears to be from Louisiana to Georgia. So keep that in mind. That is going to be from Louisiana all the way through Georgia, and then with significant severe, including tornadoes and damaging winds. So they are expecting tornadoes and they are expecting damaging winds. They are also expecting large hail across much of the area as well. So we're going to see a progression of a kind of a trough that will move from the southern plains into the lower Mississippi Valley during the day and will continue off to the coast by Monday morning. The entire southeastern region will be under the influence of strong westerly winds aloft, which will strengthen as the upper trough approaches. And so we're going to see at the surface a low pressure will develop, and by late afternoon a warm front lifts to the north across the southeastern states, oriented roughly from South Arkansas to northern Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia at kind of around the 18Z, so we're seeing like 2 o'clock-ish. And meanwhile, a cold front and dry line will develop over East Texas across the warm sector. Rich moisture with 65 to 70 degree dew points will be across the kind of that moderate instability area, and the low will likely be associated with widespread convection, which will translate eastward along the synoptic front overnight, reaching North Carolina by kind of that morning hour on Monday. So we can expect all of that, but there is a threat of daytime supercells, possibly tornadic, as small capping inversion is eroded by the early afternoon. During the evening and overnight, the low-level shear will increase further, and models suggest that southern Alabama and Georgia may be favored area for tornadoes. So bows or isolated supercells are possible in the South Carolina early Monday morning as a relatively cooler air mass is destroyed by the warm front. So basically, going through all this, we have kind of our target area. We have that there's definitely going to be stuff happening really anywhere between kind of this whole area through here. We'll give it a rough drawing. So all the way through here, it'll be somewhere in here. So we could see storms form over here, and then we could see it obviously travel. So our big thing is, though, that this is our target right in here. And that almost matches perfectly what had happened last week. Last week, if you remember it, that model showed the moderate right about here. It showed it right through here. And so I gave us a bullet for here as of last week. As we saw, there was a tornado here that was an EF4. We saw another one down here that was an EF4. We saw a whole bunch lined up throughout the day that went through here and actually tracked all the way up through here. And we also saw some through here, and then a whole bunch of little ones all the way through here and even up in here into Virginia. So what we can expect is definitely that there will be some in here. This entire area will have some. So we can expect the hail obviously anywhere in that slight, so that yellow color, but we can expect the tornadoes and our bigger winds to be in this enhanced and in this moderate. So generally when we see moderate 3 days out, that is confirming an outbreak. When we see it 2 days out, it is showing that there's going to be kind of a lot of tornadoes, and this storm system has the potential. We do have, we're talking about on the Weather Channel, they do have currently the jet stream that is traveling down through here like this. That is allowing for a low, that L, to develop right here, and that's pushing really kind of all this cold air into here. That will develop a dry line that forms here that actually ends up tilting along that, following that jet stream as the day goes on. But really, as we see throughout the day, we're going to see warm air that is down here in the kind of that Gulf. We're going to see very warm air, and also some very moist air with our dew points. That as this, in the morning hours, that L is going to be right about here. So as it travels to the east throughout the midday, we're going to see this kind of warm air being drawn right up through here. We're going to see it right through here. And as we see, kind of right through that area is our target, right in here. So really, our big important thing is going to be what is happening in here and where is it going to be at. So once again, poor Mississippi, we have a kind of target range. I believe that this is Jackson right here where that dot is at. And we're going to see kind of the same areas affected all over again. So really, we're not seeing too much activity north of kind of Tennessee border as we saw the other day. There's a very small marginal range in this. So we're seeing obviously it's going to be kind of one chord system that's going to be traveling through here. So what I can expect as of right now is that there's definitely going to be something in here. There's going to be something in this red. We'll come back at the end and discuss where I think all this is going to be kind of centered at. Where is our bullseye target? It doesn't have to be right in the middle. It doesn't have to be right here. It could be anywhere over here, over here. Sometimes it can even be like here. It could be over here. It doesn't even have to be right there. But we're going to check out a few models and see what they are predicting here. So just to go over again, here is our tornado probability, and we do have that significant, that hashed all the way in through here. We do have, even though it says 10 to 15, when you see that significant, it is almost guaranteed somewhere in there there's going to be tornadoes. And so since we have that 15% chance, that's giving us that torcon of 5, so we're going to expect some big stuff to happen. So we're going to switch over to our NAM model and just see kind of what's going on. We're going to take the 12Z model from here on Saturday, so our morning model, to see what all is going on. And let's just double check and make sure that the later model doesn't cover that. Or you know what, it does. So let's go ahead and take this 18Z model from today, and we're going to put it at 12Z, which is our morning hours, but right about in the middle of the morning. And we can see our temperatures down through here. We already have warm temperatures in the morning. We see 60s all the way up through here and stuff, and so that's what we can expect. But we're going to go ahead and take it down to the regional level. Maybe not. Give it a minute. Local, regional. Okay. So we have the U.S. Southeast. Okay. So once again, our target area is right in here. So keep that in mind as we go throughout this. Now let's go ahead and put it on what I think is going to be important to see through this. We're going to want to see what the wind is at about 850 millibars, because this is going to show us how fast the winds are moving. And to give you an idea, since this is in knots, the KT means knots, 1 knot is the equivalent, or yeah, 1 knot is the equivalent of right about 1.5 mile per hour. So if you have 10, it'll be 10 knots, about 10-ish mile per hour. You have 20, it'll be in the 20s. 30, it'll be in the 30s. 40s, it'll be in the upper 40s, and then 50s is where we see it go to 60 and stuff. So really, if it's 50, we don't see much higher than 50, 60, or 70 at any given time. But through here, we could definitely tell where the powerful storms are going to have the ability, and then damaging wind gusts is going to be our big thing, because if we see a lot of wind at once at an 850 level, that's showing a lot of damaging winds at the ground level. So we see in our morning hours here on Sunday that right through here, right on the Mississippi River, so let's go ahead and draw that out for you so you can see. So right in here, we have knots that are showing 50, and yeah, so 50 is our max. And so that means we're going to have about 60 mile per hour winds right in there according to the NAM model in the morning hours. So that's something that we could look at there, and we could see that there is going to be a storm system that is probably going to form right along through here. And then there's probably going to be some wind, some kind of rain and hail out in front in some of these systems. We could see some here. We could see some over here too. But really our core cell is going to be right in here. So what we are actually going to be seeing, it's not going to be as clear cut as what last week's was, where you see a storm system here, one here, and then one way over here. This one is actually going to be kind of an embedded system, because we're going to see some rain here, we're going to see some up here, we're going to see some down here, here, and then we're going to see it kind of in here, and then in here, and in here, and all the way. And we're going to see that the whole day, and that's going to be a big problem for radars, because we're going to have these isolated lines with the potential for some bow echoing and a few other things that could happen. So let's go down, and so that's our wind. So we're going to check out what's going on. We're going to go ahead and skip to about 2 p.m. And at 2 p.m. we see kind of this first line surge all the way through. And we have a 62 knot one, so that means the wind gusts are going to be 70, 80 mile per hour through there. And that's going to allow us to kind of see some damaging winds right through here. And that is actually showing us where our bigger storms are going to be at right in the early afternoon times. We're going to see some development here in these circles. And that's going to allow us to see, you know, everything that's going through that first wave, the second wave. And these are going to be waves. Like this wave could be severe, this wave could be severe, and this wave. So we're going to go ahead and skip to about, we can skip up to like 5 o'clock-ish. And we see that this entire way down through here, we have really heavy wind gusts all the way through here. And that could be a big line of thunderstorms. It could just be the fronts of some. But you have to note, too, this isn't exact. This is just predicted areas and regions. We could see some up here that there could be very heavy winds in. So we'll continue on, and we'll go to, let's see, 8 p.m. Eastern time through here. We do have 50s and 60 knots, so we could see stuff, obviously, 67 mile per hour, and these are going to be some big storms moving through. Then we see the 11 p.m., and we see kind of a surge. So we see, obviously, out here off the coast, we have 69 knots, but let's talk about what's going on through here. We have 63, 64, 63, 64, and 64. So we have 64 knots, and 64 knots is about, I believe, 75 mile per hour. So we have 75 mile per hour winds, and note, this is probably one storm. So rather than being kind of that random bubbles, this might be on kind of a bowed line, and this is probably going to be a supercell. And so we're going to see, obviously, that there's going to be damaging winds into the night hours. It said in that discussion that we will see development throughout the early afternoon that could lead to severe storms, but we also have a nocturnal threat, and that's going to be very alive as we go through we look at the night hours here. And as we go through the night, we will see right around 2 a.m. is where we're going to see these knots go all the way up into almost 70s. Yeah, we see 71, 73, 74. And we check out, let's go ahead and look up what 74 knots is, just to look up. So we look up knots to mile per hour, and we will look up, so let's just say we have 74 knots, and it's 85 mile per hour. And so showing all of that, we have 85 mile per hour winds in here, but also that could extend all the way down this line. And that is probably going to be it's looking pretty bowed. I mean, so is this. That's looking like a bow echo too. And we probably have a supercell back here that's still going on. So big storms obviously moving through with the wind. And then we'll take you ahead to the morning hours on Monday, and we see all of that getting kind of pushed off the coast. So it's crazy amounts of winds. We can definitely confirm that damaging winds are going to happen. But going back to our, let's just say 21Z time, and maybe a little bit later, we could say right here, we have right through here is where our big wind areas are at. We can expect all that. We also have in the early afternoon here and then kind of through here. So really showing our damaging winds. Our biggest damaging winds are going to be occurring from Alabama into Georgia. So let's go ahead and check out what is going on with our dew point, because this will show us what the dew point is going to be at the time and how much moisture the atmosphere has to work with. So we look at I'll just say right around lunchtime. And we're going to see that there are some 60s and some 50s and stuff going through. So that's enough to, we see storms producing at 50, some rain. We can see the bigger storms going up into the 60s and 70s. So then we go to that 2 o'clock time, we see this start to happen. So looking back at the last one, it's down here and then it starts to be pulled north, as I showed you with that jet stream. And we keep going in the afternoon, but we see this kind of building. We see some separation down through here, and that's energy being drawn, some moisture being drawn into the storms that are occurring all the way through here. So that's stuff we have to pay attention to, is where is that moisture going. And we do see it build, and a big thing here is it's not the fact that it's all there, it's the fact that it's building right along this line, and there's like cutouts in between, because we could see a big storm here, we could see some here, and so this moisture, any storm that develops right in here could go this way. It's probably either going to go that way or that way, so either northeast or east, and it's going to enter a very moist environment. It's getting more moist everywhere it goes, so it's not going to stop. Nothing's going to stop it. We don't have that cool air because we have that warm front ahead of it. So let's go ahead and look down at what our composite reflectivity is showing for this. And as it shows here, at that same time we had shown right about 11 p.m., we do have a line that runs all the way down through here, and we have a big kind of cluster of storms through here. So let's go ahead and pop back to our afternoon times, and really see it's just kind of a mess through here. Now we don't have our HRRR on it yet to show us the exact stuff, but it was not really identified single cells. We just have this big conglomeration of storms. But we also see all the way down through here is where that wind's being represented. This cell here could also be, this group of cells could also get severe across parts of Georgia. So there is that chance always that something could happen. And so that's looking at our really composite reflectivity there. So I want to glance real quick though at our vorticity to see what is going on with this, because when we see this, what vorticity is basically how much the atmosphere is willing to spin at a given time. And as we see here, the more we have, the worse it probably is. Oops, did not mean to click. So the more we have, the more spin there is. So normally in thunderstorms we see these yellows and oranges, maybe some reds, but what you really don't want to see is groups of this blue. And when we click on the group of the blue, what we're seeing is we see very tight kind of up through the atmosphere. There's nothing capping this. So we're seeing the maximum winds through here. We're seeing the maximum build. And I mentioned in our last briefing about that kidney bean shape. You don't want it to be a C or a G. And what is this exactly? It's a C. So we do have a particular, the possible hazard is a particularly dangerous situation, tornado. And so we can probably rule that there will, it's not going to be non-tornadic. There will be EF-0s, but our best chance is not going to be an EF-0. We're not going to have our best chance of an EF-1, EF-2. We have our best chances an EF-3 or an EF-4 in here. We're actually just a little bit down from the bullseye of an EF-4. So you have to know, or I guess it's EF-4 plus. So if we're thinking EF-4, EF-5 on either side of this, we could think that it could be EF5 here and EF4 here. We're actually right in the middle of an EF4 range. So not saying that there's going to be this massive tornado heading through your backyard. It's just that we have the vorticity and stuff that if a storm is primed and it's going to be in a very stable and unstable environment, and it's going to be very well put together for storms, that we could see all of this occurring. And something interesting here, you see that there's a lack of it right around here, and that is because you see that that is down in the negatives. That is because all three of these cells are showing, this one has a super long track, and these ones look like they're just developing at the time, but that really all of this is going to be kind of pulling the energy into it. So let's check up here in the parts of northern Mississippi, because this is where we're at the most northern part of our kind of system, and we could see really that's our marginal area. That's the end of our slight into our marginal. So we want to see what this says is going on. And something that is fascinating, we have none, and we don't even see anything being red down here. Well, that's because it's kind of capped in a way. We see the temperatures are exactly the same, and they kind of follow this kink along the line as we go up through. And so that's kind of our area where that cold air is going to be going through at this time. We have to note that that dry line at the time of this is probably going to be right through here. So anything out in front is going to be moving like that and gaining all the energy up through here. So it's going to be fed right in here. So that's going to allow some big storms to develop in the afternoon, into the evening, and overnight. So let's go ahead and look at our most unstable cape, because this is going to show us what is going on throughout the whole day. So I'm going to start around lunchtime again, and we want to point out that a few things with this. So one, tornadoes have happened at 500, and 500 is kind of that grayish. We see 500 to give you an example. What we just clicked on is 700, and that's a marginal severe area, so we don't see much. So, 500, there's 525 right there, right in this area, that super light gray. And so if we click on that, that's our 754, just a little bit down the way from it, we have none. So anything higher than 500 is allowing for thunderstorms at least. And we say our best chance of a big thunderstorm is going to occur anywhere between the 1500 at the lowest all the way up to our 3500 is where that thunderstorm capability is at. And then generally when we think about the most unstable cape, if you see cape in the 4000s, there is going to be tornadoes. It's going to be a very tornadic day. And then if you see it all the way up in the 5, 6, and 8s, that's when there's no hope left. And there is going to be a ton of tornadoes with that. Our biggest outbreaks have occurred across, anywhere between 5,000 and 6,000. So, even last week, we saw, I was listening to some people talking about it the day before, and they were predicting that Cape was going to be anywhere in the 4,000s. So that was across there, and that's where we had that outbreak of more than, was it 70 tornadoes? It could have been a lot more than that. I haven't seen the updated kind of list of them, but that was in the 4,000s. So let's assume that the 4,000s is meaning that we're going to have that same situation as last time. So we have the 15Z, so that's our morning hours. We do see 3,000s through here. So let's go ahead and click on this, and this is going to be the beginning of our storms. Maybe, yep. So it's going to be severe, as we can see through here, but it is capped in the morning hours. See that kind of a Hershey Kiss bell shape. And that's kind of killing the storm from allowing it to build more. We're not seeing it go through there. So in the morning hours, we're not having anything going on, really. So let's skip ahead, really, to kind of that 5-ish p.m. part. And this is where we see a storm that has some energy through here. We see some energy building in the 3,000s. And this is showing that this storm is going to be tornadic. We do have that tornadic capability going on. We have it all the way through, and we have it pretty much, I'm guessing, anywhere between, it could be an EF0, but we're really looking EF2, EF3 strength potential. That's our highest I could really get. There is that chance it always could be an EF4, but our highest potential, I believe, is going to be an EF3, EF2 if a tornado is put down. So that's across our central Alabama. So that's in our it's kind of our afternoon time, so our early dinner time. So I want to pay attention to a few parts. Ignore all this out of the ocean. That's just kind of wasted energy. But I'm going to assume for this system, since it's a little bit weaker from last weekend, let's assume tornadoes can occur anywhere from 3,500 up. So we do have, obviously, this was 3,100, 3,200, 3,300, somewhere in there. And that's where we're saying there's that chance of tornadoes right in there. It looks like there's going to be, if a tornado was put down anywhere in that red, it's going to be one of those. So we go ahead and skip down to Louisiana, and we see a 4,100. And so that is very high up. In fact, it is so high up that we see that this is actually curving a little bit back on itself. But also, this line is all the way up here in that upper EF4 range, EF4 plus range. It's out of our target range for EF0s, EF1s, EF2s, and EF3s. So very dangerous, as we see. And also, too, the atmosphere is showing rotation even on our hodograph up here. We see as it travels, normally these kind of travel through, maybe there's a little loop here, but they always head back out like that. But when this one actually heads back down through and is cutting up and then cuts like that, that's showing very rotating upper storms. So it's going to be allowing those kind of echoed tops to build and rotate more. So that's in Louisiana is where we're seeing that, and that is right about right before dinner time. Then back across parts of that Texas area is where we're seeing these all build. So let's look after dinner time, so 8 p.m. We see this system with all of the 4,000s starting to enter in Louisiana and kind of forcing its way through. So we saw that the Alabama storms are now out, but now we see this system occurring, and we can have two different systems that are split, funny enough, kind of by this area of Lower Cape right through here. And that could be associated with that dry line that's on the back side of it, kind of funneling energy into here. We do see this kind of temps area be kind of flooded in there. So we're going to go ahead and glance at what's going on at 11 p.m. And we see the rest of this make its way in, and we see kind of it punching through the southern part of Mississippi. Then we look at, let's see, 2 a.m. and we see the kind of this whole group of energy through here. We see, and then the very early morning hours is where it's dying off, and then all of this is off the coast. So really, for our most unstable cape, what was our peak? It was back here at our 21Z time. We can have it, we're going to say our most unstable cape, we have it here. We can have storms here and here. So we're going to focus on what's going on, and then also through here. So these are all going to be traveling, and once cape is used up, it shows on there that there's not enough cape. Now that's just what's being taken. So while the cape and some of the other, like we'll look ahead in a few hours, while it's not as much through here, we can have massive storms anywhere in here. We can have very tornadic storms. The difference is that the energy is being used up by it, so there's not as much energy left. So that's why when we see this and then it's gone in the next one, it's not like that storm died off. It means that the storm took it normally. So that's our most unstable cape. So I want to look at our, let's just go down to supercell composite, because I want to see what's going on at these times. That's going to be very clear and show us what's going on supercell wise. So we see at 15Z what's going on here. We do have, so here's our thing down here. So really 15's right in the middle. So our lowest end with nothing happening is 0. Our highest is all the way up here at like 46, 47. So really, we see supercells occur from 10 and higher, but really we see the most dangerous supercells really in that red area, so 20 to 30. We have seen some in the lower 16 area, but really if we're looking at a potential outbreak, we're going to have to see numbers in the reds. So as we go through, we're going to look, and in that afternoon time, we do see it down here, which fit the bill with what was going on with the other one. We do have that chance for tornadoes in there. We do have that kidney bean shape. Now, while this kind of bell curve is through here, it can sometimes break the cap, and that looks like it's right in the middle of the afternoon when that cap is being broken. And note, down through here, now we're starting to develop some of those oranges and reds. So we go to 21Z, and it fits what happened last time when we were talking about what all is going on with kind of that severe stuff. Is we see these little dots through here, and these are going to be our supercells. Really through here is where we're going to see supercells. We could see multiple, we could see a whole bunch lined up, or like this, we could probably just see one big supercell occurring. And so we're going to follow those through Mississippi and through Louisiana. So we'll keep an eye, and remember that this is in that pink too, so we're up our 28. And that this is showing our particularly dangerous situation, as this is kind of showing us it's hooking back, and that we have a potential for EF3, EF4 type tornadoes. That is our highest potential through there. And so really looking at all of this, we can tell that there is going to be, this region is going to be most dangerous, but we also have through here. And if you note where our moderate was at, our moderate was right through here, and our enhanced is through this whole area. So it makes sense that through here is where we're going to see these storms. So let's continue on, and we'll check out what's going on. 8 p.m. we see this energy traveling right along the Mississippi River. And then at 11 p.m., we see it start to die off, which means we still could have some supercells that are still sticking around, but at least supercell genesis won't be a big factor playing a role in that. And through the morning hours, the whole rest of that energy is going to keep kind of dying off as it goes out to sea. So that's our big thing going on there. So let's check out our tornado Torcon. So our Torcon is our significant tornado parameter, and we have our Torcon like from the Weather Channel, or if you want to do like a Torcon type of thing, it's basically the percentage of what's going on. So our SIGTOR and our Torcon are very similar. So our SIGTOR actually helps our Torcon to figure out, okay, what's going on, what is our percentage through here. So this is the chance of tornadoes through here, and really we could just say that this is our percentages through here, and we'll treat this like a Torcon almost. So as we see at what time is this? This is right around lunchtime. Our highest chance is going to be right in here through right here. So really right in there for Louisiana. So that's our chance in kind of that right before lunch and lunchtime. And then as we're going through the day, we see, now note this is at 11 p.m. or 11 a.m. my bad, right before lunch. This is at 2 p.m. So they said that the cap is going to be broken, and when this cap is broken, we are seeing them way up here in the 5.3s across East Texas. So no doubt there is going to be across East Texas a very high chance of storms developing. We do see that there's that, so it's not showing a crazy amount of rotation, but we have a very, very high chance of tornadoes through here. So what we can expect is really, we see storms forming right here and even over here if that map were to be extended here. Let's go ahead and actually bring this for this. We're going to bring this out to the south central US. So we're going to follow this. So as it develops in the afternoon, we see that dry line right here. That dry line extends all the way down through here. So we see cold air through here, and then we see warm converging up through here. And so we see that forming, and then we see it all the way up in the 5.3s, and we see it across through here. So according to this, our highest chance of tornadoes as of that kind of 2 p.m. time is going to be right through here, right to Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana area, and then southern Mississippi. And so that's going to allow us to find, because we see a 4.2 at the highest over here and a 5.3 over here at the highest. So that's our highest chance through there. So let's go ahead and flip back to our south, so because that means we saw what was going on. So we see our southeast US, and so we're going to watch this energy go. So this is our SIGTOR, so we're seeing where the highest chance of tornadoes are during this. So we see this all here, and that is all potential for tornadoes all the way up through here. All of that is potential for tornadoes. So that is at, let's see, 5 p.m. And so we do have a line of thunderstorms that can occur through here that can have them. And then we also see there is a group here of probably supercells. We saw that there were supercells here, so that's definitely going to be a supercell. Could have one here, could have one here. And then we have a line of storms. Now our key with this line of storms is it might not necessarily be a line of supercells. It could just be a squall line that is moving through. And we do see kind of that little bit of like a hook there, so that could signify some very broad rotation over parts of that state at that time. So obviously our big target area is going to be Louisiana at this time for the energy wise, but really we're seeing these storms developing across parts of Mississippi. So as we go on, we see at 8 p.m., we see it going into parts of Arkansas and into Mississippi, but really we see that other group separate into Alabama and the southern part of Louisiana. So as we keep going through to 11 p.m., really Mississippi and Alabama is going to be our key portion, but we're really seeing Louisiana play a portion in what is going on here. So then as we go into the overnight hours, we're seeing central Alabama be affected by this. And that's going to allow us in the early morning hours to potentially have some of that supercell genesis to stop, but allow those storms to keep traveling. And if these are long track storms, there will be no doubt that that's going to continue. So now as we see in the morning hours, we see the rest of this making its way off. Maybe some tornado warnings early Monday morning into parts of Georgia. But really, by the time you would probably wake up in the morning hours, our only big severe threat is going to be across parts of South Georgia and then up into the South Carolina portion of the country. So we do see all of that officially clearing out by our lunchtime, and it is gone by 2 p.m. So I mentioned that we would come back and see what was going on at the end with our forecast and show you what all is going on and what we expect. And so this is going to be our area down through here, and we'll look at this and then we'll look at what that means for the whole kind of area. But this is our moderate, and just to kind of show you again where our biggest storms for the entire day, so during the 24 hours, are going to be. We're going to see our biggest storms here, right through here, here, here. We could also see some here, but an even bigger one through here. And then we could also see some little tiny ones obviously form through here, but this is just as of right now. There's so much uncertainty through all of this. So really this is a perfect zone because that allows us to have all that traveling east. But really our target areas, let's just focus on some target areas here, here, and then we could see this entire area and then this entire area. So but in the end of the day, we're going to see what is going to be actually occurring, and we'll see tomorrow morning what everyone is saying. But really, this entire map is pretty accurate. The only thing I have a problem with is what's occurring up here. There's uncertainty what's going on, and so we see marginal to slight to enhanced to moderate across this area, and so there's a whole lot of uncertainty what's going on in this northern part. But one thing for sure, we are going to have very severe weather right in here where this enhanced is at. It's almost going to be perfect, and right in there is our target area. So we're going to focus back to the entire country view of this to see what is going on, and I'm going to highlight where in this I think our bullseye is going to be at. So we had to note that whenever I drew all that, it was all through here. So this is where they're saying the bullseye is going to be somewhere in here. My personal opinion is that there is going to be some very severe stuff through here, but I'm going to do two opinions with this. So during the daytime hours, so this is going to be from lunchtime till sunsets, till about 8 p.m., I think the bullseye is going to be right in here, right in the southern part of that, right along the Mississippi-Louisiana border, right in there, right along the Mississippi River. I think that's going to be our highest chance, and we can see these storms track. So I think that they will gain their highest intensity somewhere from here to the end. I think that's going to be our kind of spot of starting. It's going to be our starting spot. Then as we go through the day, we're going to see it obviously be traveling to the east, but for our overnight hours from the time of 8 p.m. on, I think our target area is going to be right in here, our bullseye. We're going to see it from the border of Mississippi into Alabama. So just to confirm that again, these two areas where I think we're going to have the AM here, and then we're going to have, well, not AM, but let's rephrase that because I want to rephrase that. So, Siri, what the heck? So, what was it saying? Oh, yeah, so we go from here and here, and I want to say this is in the, we'll say day, and then this is the night. And so that's basically this dot is going to be from 8 p.m. to about 2 a.m. Now, obviously, that'll all travel off. So, overall, though, in this entire area, we can expect any storms. Really anywhere in here is going to be your highest chance of storms. So we can expect all that, but my current opinion on this, just using the NAM model, and I haven't seen any other models, but this is the one I've used a few times and it's been very successful. We can expect pretty much anything in here to be tornadic, and we have our highest chances through there. So obviously pay attention to your closest news outlet and resource because they are going to be the most accurate, and stay tuned to the Weather Channel. Some of the other sources, you can come here to Pivotal Weather, pivotalweather.com, and you can check this out for yourself. But stay tuned to your radar and stay tuned for your NOAA Weather Radio because they will keep you best informed. This is just based on one model now, so it's what we can predict, but it's going to be more important that you're staying prepared and that you're ready for whatever situation comes at the time. So it's going to be a very dangerous day for the south, but we can expect that it's definitely in that moderate range, and then in that enhanced range is where we're going to have that tornadic activity. Just to give you the 4-panel look for the end, we have, that is our categorical, our tornadic chances. If you live anywhere really in the central to southern parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and even in the South Carolina, you're going to have the highest chance of tornadoes, so be prepared. Our hail, we have our highest chance on the western part of this system, and then our wind, we have the highest chance right in where that highest chances of tornadoes. So expect all of that, be prepared, and just to give you one last look, is right in here where we're expecting all of that. I hope you stay safe, and I hope you join us on Monday for our forecast, but stay informed, be prepared, and overall stay safe, and I hope you have a good day tomorrow. So thank you all for watching and listening, and I hope to see you again soon.